Hello, hello, hello. Good morning. How are we doing? Good evening, rather. It is 7:30 p.m. I don't know why I'm saying good morning, but hiya, how are we doing? Lovely to be back. Shame I wasn't here last week, but we're back and we're on it and we're ready to chill for at least a couple hours. Hello, where's everyone from? Let me know where you're from. Let me know how you're doing. Hello, Kitty Cat. First one in chat. Love to see it. How are you doing today? Hello to Julie Martinez as well from Toronto. Okay, you're not too far from me. I'm in Montreal at the moment, just a few hours away. Hello, Kitty Cat says, I'm well. How about you? I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm feeling rested, feeling energized. I'm feeling excited, and I'm feeling ready to stream with y'all. It's been quite warm today, which has actually been a welcome change. So I've been loving the weather, and yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Who else do we have in chat? We have Philip from Germany. Hello, Philip. Custard from Texas. Kitty Cat says, I'm happy you took that break. Yeah, I am also happy I took that break. I get quite tired from like doing my job and then doing all this YouTube stuff. It's incredibly fun, but sometimes I need to slow down and just have one job for for a bit. So last week was chill. Got plenty of sleep, which was very nice. Beyond that, I also watched quite a few episodes of Better Call Saul. I just started that show recently. I finished Breaking Bad like a few weeks ago for the second time, but I never got around to watching Better Call Saul, so that kept me busy last week. Hello to Courtney from Chicago as well. How you doing? How you doing? Yeah, nice to see people in chat. Nice to see people active. Hey, Leo. Day one in chat. How you doing, man? Um, yes, and you're not asleep, which I always baffles me, given that you live in London. But yeah, nice to see you in chat again, man. Nice to see you. I hope you all had something to do last week as well. In other news, I have been. This is actually another thing I did last week. I got some more house plants. So I've been going a bit crazy with the house plants, but I got this one here. Oh God, it's gorgeous, so pretty. Um, and I also got another one which I don't keep on the desk all the time, but it's too big. Got this for $30 with the pot as well. It's like made of like proper solid concrete or something. But yeah, I've had a good week. I've had a good week. Yeah, as I was saying, I've had a good week. Um, Leo says we need a Discord. I used to have one, but I just couldn't manage the maintenance of it. I have plans and dreams of figuring out a way for us to be able to communicate more regularly, and the Discord will come back once I can figure out how to how to manage it. Leo says I did word vomit my perspectives on the topic in the chat. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Oh yeah, I saw some messages at the top. I'll go back over those in a bit, Kitty Cat, but I will analyze your thoughts. Non-player character says, "Hey lad, hello to you too. Hello to you too." Francis says, "Did you name the plant?" I don't name any of my plants actually, which is quite weird because I give them a lot of love, but I don't give them any names. That's open, so we'll say that this one is opened to be named. I'm willing to take suggestions from chat for who wants to name this one. Uh, if you care, it is a whale fin plant. Whale fin plant. That gives you any indication. Also, I really like whales, which is another reason why I got this. I have my whale plushie. Um, Whales are like my special interest amongst many. That's 100% Rudolph or Rupert. Okay, okay. Non-player character says your voice is awesome. Thank you, man. Thank you. I think it's probably the audio filters that make it sound better than it is. But thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, we're getting different pictures. We've got a Rudolph, we've got a Rupert, we've got a Johnny. These are all very different names. Brittany says name them after different colors of green. Oh, I don't really know my colors of green too well, to be honest. I know light green and dark green. But if you can suggest some colors, then go for it. Julie says I name all of my plants, but then forget the names. Yeah, I think that would. I don't think that would happen to me actually. I have like an app to like track them and everything. I've been getting really into it lately. I even got like a humidifier and everything. Some lights. That's the purple light in the background is for that plant. I've been taking good care of them. But we've got some good names. Rudolph is a candidate. I'm gonna write that down actually. Rudolph. I quite like the name Rudolph. But while we're in the process of naming, I'm just gonna do a little pin message to include the plan for today, which will be, as always, yapping, then some daily games, and then talking about dating apps and sharing all the research I've done with you. Talking about dating apps. Oop. And then, let me see. Do I pin this? Done. There we go. Perfect. Francis votes for Rupert as well. I think, Francis, you should be driving, bro. I hope you're sending these messages at a traffic light. And Baby Prawn and Kitty Cat are putting another vote in for Wales. Wales are fantastic. I love them. I absolutely love Wales. I think they're great. Non-player character says, "Do you know of wheat waffles?" Yeah, I do, but it's not really my kind of content. It's like the content I'm probably least likely to watch in the world, to be honest. So hopefully today I can give you a perspective that I feel is a bit more rounded than what you might get typically, and might at least maybe consider you to not necessarily take all of that content quite to heart, because I think that style of content can be a bit dangerous. Francis says lies. I'm not sure what that refers to, but I hope that's a lie about you driving. I hope you're not driving. Okay, so we're gonna just do a few daily games as normal to get warmed up and everything, and get in the flow of talking, and then we're gonna hop into our presentation as normal and see how we get on. Sounds good to me. It sounds good to me. And yeah, so let's go. Let me switch over. Where are we? Oop. I don't know why I look so sweaty today. Ooh. Maybe I'll get a towel and wipe my face down. I look so sweaty. Odd. Okay, so we're going to do our dailies, which include the mini crossword, time guesser, and food guesser. I'm also excited to be grossed out by some food. I love food guesser. It's the best. But we'll try and smash these out, and I should feel ready to yap afterwards. I'm always ready to yap, so that's not really any different to usual, but let's get through it. Clothed in, ring of light, halo. I'm reading a book about anti-gravity. I can't put it down. That's a terrible joke. Then we have one W in www, which is World Wide Web. I don't know how this could. Ooh, no, that's going to be world, right? Oh no, I messed this out. I messed this up. I'm reading the wrong clue. I'm reading the wrong clue. Black Widow. Black Widow. Ah, saved me there. I was reading the wrong clue. Okay, so we have succulent in some health drinks. Don't know. Tool for a soup kitchen volunteer. Ladle. South American country with a 4,000-mile coastline is Chile. Worker with a comb, perhaps? I'm not sure. Okay. 6 down. Web. There we go. And then Helen and succulent aloe vera. You're on it, Julie. You're on it. You're on it. You're faster than me today. 1 minute 18. Okay, not ideal. Sub 1 minute is usually the target, but we'll take it. Right. Onto the real ones now, right? These are the real ones. So if you haven't seen these dailies before, time guesser is basically like GeoGuessr. We'll get 5 pictures, and we just need to figure out where in the world they are and on what date the photo was taken. Pretty simple concept, but I love it. So let's dive in and see how we get on. This is Mother Country. This has got to be the most English thing I've seen in a while. And it even has a location, Framlingham. I think that's down south somewhere. I'm gonna smash this. This is a race. Suffolk. Yeah, that's down south. I've been set up. I've been set up here. God save the Queen. It's God save the King now, non-player character. Gotta update. Kitty Cat says, ah, yes, the British. This is well and truly the British. Have you guys in chat been to the UK before? It's a nice place to visit. I would recommend. I just need to figure out where Framlingham is now, but that's an easy challenge, I think, compared to actually trying to figure out where the picture is. Courtney says only Scotland. That's probably the best place to go, to be honest, if you're going to go on vacation. Everyone goes to London, but I'm going to put a vote in for Scotland. People are nicer. The weather's a little bit worse, but the weather's bad everywhere anyways. But it's such a vibe, and the nature is so much better as well. Like the nature in Scotland is like some of the best in the world, so would highly recommend. In the meantime, I'm going to figure out where Framlingham is. Scotland is peak. The culture is underrated. Yeah, I think it is. I think part of it is Americans have kind of, I don't want to blame America for everything, but you know, Americans have claimed Scottish as their own in many ways, you know, with the 2% Scottish type people. But Scotland itself is a good place. Very, very welcoming country. What time of year should I visit Scotland? Probably any time but like peak summer, because they have loads of bugs. I think like April, May, I would say is optimal time. The rain's starting to slow down. Probably May, yeah, is the best time of year. But any time of year is great, to be honest. It doesn't get like crazy cold unless you go super far north. So I think you can enjoy it. It's just that in summer there are loads of bugs. So if that's an issue for you, then avoid it. Honestly, just keep in mind the sunlight times. Yeah, that's the other issue, right? They get like really little sunlight. But that's a UK-wide issue. Anyways, let's smash this round out. Try and figure out where Framlingham is. And this has got to be like 2023 or 2024, right? Like this is super recent. I'm going to go 2023. Okay. Now, my knowledge of UK geography south of London is very shoddy because I am from the north. And so an attempt to find Framlingham might be a bit difficult. I'm fairly certain it's in this part of. Okay, so it's not going to be down here. It's not going to be over here. From Framlingham, where art thou? Okay, we're not going to stay here all day. So there's like a pipe exploding in the wall right now. But let's see. Let me just pick a spot that I think is going to be generally around there. So Kent. Okay, let's go around here. Okay. So 2024, 120 kilometers. I think I'm taking that. Yo, Tay, how you doing? You gave up on those apps. Yeah, we're going to cover a bunch about the apps, and I think a lot of people are giving up on the apps as well, which has been, it's been a big response. Which, you know, if people are giving up on things, it means that they're voting with their wallets instead of doing something that's hopeless. But yeah, I'm curious to hear if you're still around in chat when we get to the presentation. I'm curious to hear your perspectives. Okay, second picture. This is such a vibey picture as well. I love these old black and white pictures where everyone looks like they're just posing. Like, look at this guy. You don't see drip like this anymore, man. You don't see drip like this. Chocolate Rain, man. You're Chris Hansen, man. You're way more famous, Chris Hansen. Assuming you're the real Chris Hansen. Okay, so here we have somewhere that's 67 kilometers from Helsinki and 63 kilometers from Lahti. And so Helsinki is the capital of Finland, I think. There we go. The only reason I haven't given up is like, man, what's the alternative? Well, we'll cover a couple of alternatives, but you are right that is a reason that a lot of people haven't given up, right? Because like, what is the alternative? Tay says they had to pose on a position they could hold because the exposure had to be long with all the film. Oh, that's a very good point. Actually. Yeah, and I know that's true actually of like old Victorian photos, right? Which is why they always look so angry whenever you see an old like Victorian era photo, because they've been sat there for like 20 minutes and like perfectly still for one photograph. Yeah, that's very true. Good point. Good point. Okay, so we are 67 kilometers from Helsinki. And if we can find any of these other cities, like Lata, will that show up on the map? Porvo, Lati. Oh, there we go. Porvo. We're 35 kilometers from Porvo. So we're in between Helsinki and Porvo. So we're like here. Now, can we see any of the other cities? I can't see any of the other ones at a glance. Okay, I think we've got it. Time to figure out the date. So this has got to be like, it's black and white. So I would think it's like World War One. I don't know if Finland got involved in that. Anyone here who's a Finnish history expert? Because I can't fill that niche. I'm gonna go for World War One era, especially because it's black and white as well, and the dude's wearing a hat, right? So I would think the World War One, fewer people wore hats. Looks more like World War Two based on the soldiers. Okay, so the bayonets though were like a World War One thing, right? The bayonets on the guns. I don't know. I don't really look into military history. I'm gonna hedge my bets, right, and go in the middle, but with a lean towards World War One. So we'll say 19. Ah, nah, you tell you what, I'm a big boy. I can commit to World War One. Let's go 1917. Ah, no, it was actually in between World War One and World War Two. This is a photograph of soldiers in the Mantsala following the Mantsala Rebellion, a failed coup attempt by the far-right Lapua movement. Okay, so I should have hedged my bets, but I'm pretty happy. And it turned out that we were just further north. Okay, but we were in between Helsinki and Porvo. I'll take it. James Waite says, I'm confused. I was expecting a graph. I don't know what you mean, James. I literally don't know what you mean. You're going to have to explain it to me. Maya says, how could you know that? It's a skill issue, Maya. It's a skill issue, you know? I'm not sure how I could tell that this was 1932. But I guess I skipped the history of Finland class at school, right? So, you know, this is my fault. This is another fire picture. Ah, well, thankfully it's a bit of an easier one. We're in Liberia. Oh, we've got Liberian plates, and this guy is black, so I can guess that this is Liberia. I don't know if you guys know much. Oh, the YouTube videos always have graphs. Yeah, I love my graphs, man. I'm a data boy. I'm a maths nerd, you know? For the longest time, I thought I would do like maths at university and things like that. And I did do as many maths classes as I could while I was there. And yeah, I'm a huge numbers guy. Is it though? Do you think this is a false flag, Leo? Do you think this is here to mislead me? This does look like West Africa though. This has like a West African vibe to it. So, and I've spent time in West Africa. You know, my family's from that side of the world. So I think it could be Liberia. I don't know if you guys know much about the history of Liberia, but it was actually founded by former American slaves. So America, after the whole slave thing got like shut down, sent a bunch over to Africa. Was like, right, okay, yeah, now that we can't like make you work on the cotton fields, send all of these slaves that had no link to each other to a random spot in Africa. And obviously that doesn't work. And Liberia has had a lot of trouble since. I think it's calmed down now. I don't think they have a crazy civil war going on anymore, but it's got an interesting history to it. And it's why like you can see everything in Liberia has like really American sounding names. Okay, I'm gonna go for a street in Liberia, and we're gonna go for 1950. It says, interesting. I should 100% learn more about Africa. I'm so ignorant. Oh, mate, honestly, I am ignorant about a lot of the world. Yeah, don't worry about it. We all have our blind spots. Let's go. Okay. So it was in the 80s, and it was a car driving through Liberia's capital city, Monrovia. So we were pretty good. We were pretty good on the location. 4,800 out of 5,000. but awful on the date. 30 years off. Right, we have two more rounds, and then we'll bash out time food guesser really quickly, and then we'll get to business. George Waits, non-player character says, exporting American culture is always a good thing. Yeah, exactly right. It always works out. And Chris Hansen says, George Weah, former Liberian president, played for City. Yeah, I think he played for Arsenal as well, right? Yeah, he was a really big football player. He was supposedly really good. Yeah, only African to win the Golden Ball. Did Eto never win a Golden Ball? Hang on, I'm gonna fact check you on that. Did he ever win a? Okay, he didn't. Okay, so he won the European Golden Shoe because he was the top goal scorer in Spain. Okay, interesting. Little football fact check. Okay, so this is round 4. We'll bash through this. We've got like a nice little wide angle shot. This is quite rare. This does feel super American. Like this guy was in the mob, definitely. He definitely had to silence a few guys, make people some offers they couldn't refuse. This is such a US mobster vibe. Look at this guy. My God. Can we bring back this like style of clothing? Like it would be so nice if there was an expectation to wear suits everywhere. I say this having literally zero formal clothes in my wardrobe, but if there was more peer pressure, I'd definitely be dripped like this. Now look at this guy. This guy is striking like a pose and everything, man. Look at the slightly bent knee, the slightly turned away, Style. So we have to. I'm pretty sure this is in the US. This doesn't feel British to me, although it could be. These names are quite British, but then everyone is dressed like an old school American, and Mendel's as well. Leo says found some common ground with the Conservatives. I would agree with you. Yeah. Tell you what though, this looks like there's a building like this in Ireland, Dublin. Who knows? Hello, Pesho. How you doing, man? Okay, we need to get to job and try and figure out where this is. Oh, this says Bank of NZ. We could be in New Zealand. We could be in New Zealand. Ask for Big A floor. Okay, so we got two angles here. We can either go for New Zealand or we can go for the US. And I feel like this Bank of NZ, the Bank of New Zealand. Pesha says, honestly, I love the latest turn to casual clothes. Yeah, I mean, I wear casual clothes literally all the time. I can't tell you the last time I like wore formal outfit, but that's just because I don't have to, right? If I had more peer pressure, I'd definitely be dripped out every day. And it's also because I don't really go outside. But yeah, Leo says, interesting. Are you going to go for New Zealand? You know what? I might go for a little bit of a curveball. This is not my best game anyways. So if I can pull it back with New Zealand. Comrade says it's been operating since 1861. Now we haven't decided if this is New Zealand though, if this is New York. Okay. Oh, let's see. Will this building give it away? Government life insurance buildings. Government. Okay. I'm going to take a risk on this one and I'm going to go for New Zealand. Kitty Cat says, I sew my own vintage and Rococo clothes IRL. That's sick. That's so cool. I've had such a desire to learn how to sew. And so yeah, that's fire. That's fire. I think I'm really bad at coordination, so I think it would take me a while to learn. But yeah, making clothes seems like such a fun thing to do. Yeah, see, that's the thing as well. The thing that makes me think it could be American is that they've got Mendelssohn here, which is like a kind of like a German name. They've got Goldberg, which is like a Jewish name. And I feel like America is the place where you get that kind of diversity. But also, fuck it, let's go. It's it's only a game. Nothing happens if I lose. So we'll go for the middle of Wellington, and this is like 1920s vibe. So in 1925. Let's see. Let's see. Is this a genius? Ah, it's a genius play. Genius play. So it's a street scene around Cargill's monument in Dunedin, New Zealand, 1923. 2 years off. Ah, only a few hundred kilometers off. Goated play. Goated play. I'm not like these other guys, okay? I'm built different, you know? Put me in front of a random picture and I'll do kind of okay. I'm built different. Okay. Oh man, and this is a dub. This is a dub, man. This is an easy one. This is Shinjuku in Tokyo, which is the one of the largest districts in Tokyo. The train station there is actually, I think, the biggest in the world. And there are your Tokyo facts for the day as well, you know. But you didn't join the stream for Tokyo facts. But yeah, we'll smash this out. Quick food guesser, and then get to grub. So this is in Tokyo. That's assuming that this sign is the location of the photograph. But we'll assume that. And I need you. Okay. Pesho says, "Man, you're good at this. I would have no idea." Yeah, man. I play a lot of games, man. I play a lot of games. Not so much these days, but you know, I also spend a lot of time on Google Maps and Wikipedia. So we are in Shinjuku already, and I just need to find a road crossing that faces some general direction. It's a straight road. There we go. This is a straight road. Yeah, man. So many people are going to Japan at the moment, actually. Loads of people are visiting because the exchange rate has been really good because their economy is kind of collapsing. It's actually been on a bit of a comeback lately, but yeah, they've had some big problems with tourists, actually, like over tourism, where everywhere is like super full, everywhere that's popular. And people are like standing in the road and not super familiar with Japanese customs. So yeah, it's a good time to visit Japan. Okay, now I was gonna figure out when this was. There's a Pepsi sign here, which suggests that this has got to be after World War II. I'm gonna gamble that this is when Japan was under US occupation after World War II, because we're advertising Pepsi. I don't know when Pepsi was created. I would think 40s, 50s. Swiss Biscuit says the clothes give me 60s or 70s vibes. Yeah, the clothes are super modern. Yeah, I was thinking that as well. As like the skirts and the stuff, and this guy's whole outfit. This I'm gonna go 72, I think, or 70. 72, 69, 70. Non-player character says cheap houses in Japan. Yeah, they have super cheap housing. Yeah, because there's no like all the youth are going to the major cities, and all these small towns are like slowly starting to die out. So they're selling these houses super cheap. Milk Mustache says they are one of the only countries to have negative rates. I think they've recently increased the rates to like 0.25% or something, like 0.25%, and it went wild. So I think they have recently increased the rate slightly. I remember reading about that because it messed up a load of traders or something. But yeah, yeah, they're really desperate for growth at the moment. 60s vibes, the hair. Oh, true, the hair. Oh, I'm gonna hedge and go 1968, and this random street in Shinjuku, Tokyo. Let's go. He's built different, man. He's built different. I should have stuck with 1970, but this is a crossing in Shinjuku City, a special ward of Tokyo during the 70s, and it was bang on 1970, and we were 400 meters away from the correct spot. I think we did well. We did well. We pulled it back. You know, I kept my reputation intact. And Maya says I said 70s. You did say 70s. You did say 70s. The conflicting reports got me, man. The conflicting reports got me. Yeah, I think I read the 60s message for the clothes and then 70s. But I'm happy with this. I killed it. I'm good. This was a good performance overall. We pulled it back towards the end. Started off a little shoddy. Didn't quite clear 40k, which is always a good score, but we cleared 35k, which is like my minimum. So yeah, I'm happy with that. We did well. Okay, so last daily. This is a short one. It's a very similar concept. We get shown 3 meals, and we have to figure out where in the world the meals are from. We get like 3 guesses, I think. If we get them wrong, we get more information. And also I realized that, hang on, we move that. Is this gonna work? Oh, bear with me. I'm just gonna try and fix, uh, fix my OBS. There we go. Perfect. Okay. So sometimes the food is a little bit awful, but sometimes it's really good. Maya says, "OMG, these games are so cool." Yeah, I love these games. They're daily games as well, so like you can play them every day or like whenever you want, and they don't take a lot of time. They're like perfect. They're so good. 2 weeks ago, yeah, last stream. Okay. Petro Petrov says, "Do you think food would be a pain to deal with if you live in a remote area?" Interestingly enough, I don't know if this is the kind of remote area you mean, but there's a big phenomenon in the US of food deserts. And these are just parts of the world where, or parts of like quite developed countries where people can't get access to high quality nutrition because it's not profitable to have a supermarket in that location. There's just not enough people. So even in quite relatively developed countries, living in relatively remote areas can actually make it really hard to get food. Never mind if you live in like a poorer country. So let me just move this so we can read it. We're gonna move me down here. Then I'll just briefly hide this. We can read it. Kitty Cat says, "I live in a food desert." Ah, lucky you, lucky you. That must be tough. That must be tough to not know what, yeah, to not have many options because it's really bad for people's health, right? And anyways, let's smash this round out. So we have a dish consisting of glass noodles, ground pork, soy sauce, Shaoxing wine, chicken broth, dubanjiang. I think this is kind of pushing us towards a certain side of the world. Garlic, ginger, sesame oil, cornstarch, Sichuan peppercorns. Sichuan is in China, and it involves soaking vermicelli until soft and then stir frying minced pork with garlic, ginger, and chili paste. Soy sauce, chicken broth, cooking until. It doesn't. I mean, it looks okay. Looks okay. This one looks the best. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go with China, but sometimes they get you because like it'll be Chinese ingredients and it'll be from like Peru or something. I'll probably pass on this one. I think. There we go. Nailed it. It's from China. Yeah, that was an easier round to be honest. Like when they give you like literal Chinese ingredients, makes it a little bit easier. Comrade Business says lol or Taiwan. Yeah, exactly. And when you type in China, it actually says that wait, what? This is called ants climbing a tree. I love I got it. This ants climbing a tree. I think that's quite an appropriate name, right? You can see they kind of look like ants. Like yeah, you can kind of see they look like ants. Oh, wait, do I have my mouse disabled? There we go. There we go. Yeah, like this one here, right? Kind of looks like a little ant. Very cat food like, Leo says. Okay. This looks like a picture someone took in their kitchen, but these are pretty tasty, right? Ground beef. Why did they? I don't know why I don't know where they get these photos from. Yeah, I don't know where they get these photos from. Sorry if I hurt anyone's ears who was wearing headphones there, but they always choose the absolute worst photos they can possibly find. Comrade Business says pierogi or yeah, empanadita. Yeah, like a little empanada. Yeah. The empanadas contain almonds though. Okay. Filling of ground meat, almonds, and onions, and herbs, spices and herbs onto thin pastry sheets. The filled pastry is then carefully rolled into the desired shape. These are often brushed with oil or butter and baked until golden and crispy. Sometimes they are fried for a different texture, served warm, often as an appetizer or a snack. That's the thing. Empanadas can be from so many different countries, and also the almonds are throwing me off. Julie says, "I'm guessing gyoza from Japan." But that's the thing. Would they use almonds though? And also, phyllo dough is super thin dough. That's like I know phyllo dough is Greek, but I feel like Greek food might be Okay, we get a few guesses and we get a bit more information after we get them wrong. So I'm actually going to go um, super out there and go for Greece, actually. Okay, we're warm. And the actual destination is southwest of Greece. Which southwest of Greece is that, like North Africa? Yeah, I went Greece just because of phyllo pastry. But we have 4 more guesses. And Esho says isn't gyoza a soup? No, gyoza is like the dumplings, right? The little dumplings that you can get. Sometimes you can get them in a soup, but I think but they're just the dumplings. I am thinking North Africa. So James Witt says Middle East. I always forget where Greece is. Like for me, Europe like ends at Italy, so I'm always like really shoddy about the whole Greece, Albania, Macedonia side of things. But I think maybe North Africa. We can go for North Africa. Ooh, I think Cyprus would have got better rating than a warm because Greece and Cyprus are pretty close, right? We would have got there's like a hot almonds Africa. Well, I don't North Africa though, right? Like Morocco. Oh, stream is choppy. Hang on. Is the stream lagging for anyone else? Let me know if it's laggy for you. Oh. Can you hear me okay? I don't know if you all can hear me. Hang on. And you okay. It's a bit laggy. It's okay now? Are we back? I think we're back. A bit laggy. Okay, hang on. Let me just adjust some settings and we might be able to get it to be a bit less laggy. Hold on. Just a tad laggy sometimes. Bizarre. Okay, we're good now. Yeah, my internet has been acting up lately. It's normally super fast, but I'll keep that in mind for next time. I'll just turn the settings down so that it's less likely to be laggy. I think we're back now. I have been kicked out of the game though for some reason. Oh, there we go. So China. Okay, we're back. Okay, so the first guess was Greece, and we needed to go southwest of Greece, which I felt like maybe like. Okay, I'm gonna go Morocco. Okay, we'll go Morocco. Okay, we're back. Okay. So North Africa was the play, guys. North Africa was the play. So we need a country that borders Morocco. I know the countries up there, but I don't know what order they come in. There's like Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco, Egypt, and Libya. But no, Egypt is next to like Israel, so that's all the way over there. It's called Burek Lajine. That doesn't help, man. It doesn't help. Okay, so it's not Egypt. I think Libya is the next one across. So I reckon it's Tunisia, Algeria, or Spain. Those are the 3 countries that border Morocco. Swiss Biscuit says Algeria. We'll go Algeria. It's Algeria. There we go. Burek lajine, often simply referred to as burek, is a traditional dish from Algeria, commonly prepared during Ramadan to break the fast. Very nice. It finds its origins in the Ottoman Empire. And it comes from a Turkish word, borek. Interesting. Morocco is in the top 5 for almond cultivation, according to Wikipedia. Good guess. Amazing. As I was saying, man, I'm built different when it comes to geography games, man. I just need to lock in, and I'd be the best. I'd be like Rain Bolt, the guy who does the GeoGuessr videos. I also do agree that empanadas are absolute fire. There's a place nearby that makes empanadas, and they're so good. They do all you can eat empanadas on Wednesdays for $20. And I need to book out a Wednesday to go in, dive in, and just die of oil poisoning. Okay, last round, guys. We got an easy one, I think. This is made of buckwheat flour, pork sausage, butter, water, salt, onion, garlic, and mustard. This feels like super Western European, like Germany, the Netherlands, Belgium, those kind of countries. Leo says, bro, damn, I wish I had that. Yeah, I don't know if there are any good empanada places in London. There aren't any that I know of. And I bet they're like £10 each or something, right? Because it's London. But yeah, so sadly, I'll eat one in your honor, though. I'll eat one in your honor. Pesho says, I've actually been to Morocco, but didn't really like it there. What didn't you like about Morocco? I've got a few friends who went. Said weather was nice and stuff, but I'm curious to hear. But yeah, I think we can say pretty confidently this is Western European. I'm gonna go for Germany. Ah, borders Germany. Okay, perfect. Could be France, but it could also be Belgium, right? Because a lot of Belgium speaks French. But I think you're right. It is. I should go France. Let's go France. There we go. There we go. I really should have lent into the crepe. I should have lent into the crepe. So this is a galette saucisse. A galette saucisse is a traditional dish from the Brittany region in France. I think is like the northernmost one. It's a pork sausage wrapped in a galette, which is a type of buckwheat crepe. The dish is particularly popular in the area surrounding Rennes, which is Brittany's capital. Interesting. Seems a bit bland. um, yeah, so I had friends that said the food in Morocco was bland. Oh, that surprises me that the food in Morocco would be bland. Is that like street food, or I guess it depends where you go, right? But that does surprise me. Anyways, we did incredibly well on this. Smashed it, 13,500 out of 15,000. I feel good, I feel motivated, I feel excited, and I feel ready to go into the topic of today's stream. So give me a second to get everything prepped. I'll have a little sip of water and we'll dive in. I'll catch up on the chat first. Listing the food from most palatable to least palatable, second, third, first. Yeah, I think the third was, the least palatable was definitely the first one. Yeah, for sure. And the empanadas were by far the best all the year. Okay, let's see. Where are we? Pesha says, well, the place was kind of dirty. We saw people on bikes dropping bread on the street and then putting it back on the stall. Well, that's kind of wild. So they're driving me kind of crazy, and I don't really handle the heat well. Yeah, sounds like Morocco would be not ideal if you can't handle the heat well. Okay, Kitty Cat says, nice, can you read my word vomit now? Yeah, I will catch up. Let me see. It's gonna let me scroll all the way back. Okay, so it looks like YouTube chat doesn't let me scroll that far back, but I did read most of it when I was setting up the live chat. And you were talking about being aro ace, right? Like asexual. I actually don't know much about asexuality. To be honest, I know that there's like asexual and there's aromantic. Aromantic is like you don't feel any like romantic attraction to people, and asexual is you can feel, you might be able to feel romantic attraction, but not sexual attraction. Yeah, I don't know too much about that side of things. Honestly, my entire knowledge of asexuality is the character in BoJack Horseman, great TV show called Todd. He's voiced by Aaron Paul, who plays Jesse in Breaking Bad, but is like the complete opposite, and he happens to be an asexual character in the show. I think it seems like it's a really good portrayal of asexuality, apparently from the forums. But yeah, I don't know too much about what dating dynamics look like amongst the asexual community. Actually, I'd be interested to learn more about that. It's maybe something I should look into. And yeah, I love Todd. I love this show as well. This is like one of my top 5 shows of all time, easily. It's so well made. It takes a little bit of work to get into, but once like the comedy style sticks and you get it, it's fantastic. Honestly, so good. Balances like serious moments with like heartfelt moments and just pure comedy. Great show. Plus, all the voice actors are like really good actors as well, right? Like there's Will Arnett who voices BoJack. He's the guy from Arrested Development. This dude. He voices the main character BoJack, and then you've got Aaron Paul, who's also a goat. Yeah, it slaps. Leo says, people doubt me when I recommend it. I just look them in the eye, trust. Yeah, man. Honestly, it's the same. When I was at university, I remember trying to get like the house that I lived with to just watch the show. And it was like fighting an uphill battle. And they all eventually watched it and they were all like, oh yeah, it's great. It's amazing. But people don't want to watch animated shows, man. They don't want to watch animated shows. They think they're all childish. Asho says, I think of Sheldon from Big Bang. I don't think Sheldon's, is he asexual? He's not aromantic, right? He has a girlfriend in the show, doesn't he? I don't know if Sheldon is asexual. Maybe he is. James Waite says, Will Arnett for me was 30 Rock. I've never actually seen 30 Rock. Yeah, it's an older show, isn't it? I know that Kanye references it in a song from like 10 years ago. When is it from? Written by Tina Fey? Oh no, stars Tina Fey. There we go. It's from, also created by Tina Fey. 2006 to 2013. Okay. I'll add it to the list. The ever-ending list of shows I need to watch, but I'll never get round to. Okay. Kitty Cat says, this is largely how aces date if they choose to, choosing a queer platonic relationship where no romance is expected or required. That sounds like a good setup, to be honest. That just sounds like a good kind of relationship, right? Like a true bromance. Yeah, that sounds great, man. The Brown Experience says, wasn't Donald Glover a writer on 30 Rock? Yeah, he was. He worked for Tina Fey, who was the head writer, and that's how that was like his big break. So I've never seen the show, but I just know it because of Tina Fey. Francis says, as I was definitely not driving before, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Francis. Good evening. And thank you for definitely not driving now and definitely not driving before. Maya says, the Last Airbender can make you cry like a baby. Definitely not childish. Yeah, no, I watched the Last Airbender a couple of years ago for the first time. Like one of my best friends from home is like a super, super big fan of it and has been telling me to watch it for years. And it took me a long time to get around to it, but I did watch it, and it's so good. So good. It's a really well made show. It's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. Big fan. Yeah, but I've been a big like anime watcher for years, so like I don't have a barrier with animated shows, but it's just sometimes getting around to actually watching them. Like Attack on Titan is like probably one of my favorite shows of all time. That's animated. It's just got such a good story, and they can just tackle themes that you can't really do in live action as easily. I'm so sad Donald is retiring Childish Gambino. Yeah, I heard that he's retiring. Yeah. I think he's still going to make music though, right? But just not under Childish Gambino. Just sad. He was like one of the first rappers that I listened to properly. Leo says, if you haven't, I also recommend Pluto. Very short, but Jesus, I love that. Is that an animated show? Pluto TV show? Was it an anime? Oh, this one, the Netflix one. Oh, that's a good call, actually. That's a good call. This looks like my kind of vibe. This looks great. This looks fire. I'm actually gonna write that down. Pluto. Honestly, I feel like we're never gonna get to the topic of the stream, but we're gonna get to it. Last thing is final anime recommendations. Erased is really good. Really good little time travel anime, and one of my favorites ones. Oh my god, this is one of the ones that only delivers when you make it all the way through to the end. It's like 14, 15 episodes. It's called The Odd Taxi, and the end is so good, and like you don't see it coming. It's great. It's great. This is probably the most recent anime I think I watched actually. Francis says Attack on Titan was so good. It was so good. It was so good. Yeah, Kitty Cat is a good time to watch Attack on Titan because it's finally over. You don't have to wait like a year and a half to get a new season. Highly recommend it. It's one of those ones as well that goes in just these crazy directions and has like quite hardcore themes and quite heavy themes. It's good. It's good. It's like the best of what anime can be. Where was I? The Brown Experience says, do you think Gambino's work has aged well? Not really, but I don't think much like mid 2010s kind of rap has aged that well. Like I still like it because it reminds me of what my life was like back then. But I don't think like if you released those albums today, they'd be that popular. Maybe a few songs that he did would hold up quite well. But because they're quite poppy anyways. Okay, but yeah, I'm going to catch up on chat and then we're going to dive into to actually talking about what you came for. Okay, where are we at? Let's play says Jujutsu Kaisen is amazing. Yeah, my mate has just started watching that actually. He finished like the first season in like the space of like a couple of weeks. So apparently the action scenes are just crazy as well. So that is also on the list. I watched the first episode but I never stuck it out. So yeah, but it's on the list. It's on the list. The list is so large and expansive, and I'm never gonna finish it. The current goal is to finish Better Call Saul, which is 6 seasons, and I'm gonna get through that. Also, can you guys hear the music? By the way, my neighbors sound like they're playing music, and I don't know if it's loud enough that you can hear it. No, it seems like no, nobody can hear it. Ah, the power of a good microphone, eh? Junie Martinez says Odd Taxi. Oh yeah, sorry, Leo. Yeah, Odd Taxi. That was what it was called. Sorry. Yeah. So Odd Taxi was it's great. It's really short. It's like 13 something episodes, 13 to 15. Nobody can hear the music. Amazing. It's just background music for me. My voice is the music. Amazing, amazing. I actually knocked on their door yesterday because they were playing it like super, super loud. I've got like new neighbors, and I don't think they realized quite how thin the walls are, and so they were just blaring the music. And I decided to be a big boy and go and tell them that they were being a bit too loud. But then I always think like, am I being too loud? But if they don't complain, then I'm not. Cody says, what time is it for you? It is 20 past 8. I am in Canada at the moment. So yeah, 20 past 8. David Cruz says, Tokyo Ghoul is astonishing. That's also on the list. I have this big like my anime list. No, I have it on IMDb now, actually, like an IMDb list of just stuff I need to watch. But there's not enough hours in the day for all the good entertainment that's out there. Okay, so let's actually get to a business. Where are we? Okay, let me just get this up and hang on. Oh God, this is not cooperating with me. There we go. Amazing. So all I need to do now is just get my script up, and then we should be good to go. Let me just double check that I'm recording. Yep. Also, no, actually, never mind. Not important. Right. So yeah. So the other day I was thinking about dating apps, right? And I was wondering, I wonder how they're doing these days. It's been a few years since I've used one myself. I decided to check how they were getting on. And it turns out that they are not doing great. So this is a graph of the shares in Match Group, which owns like Tinder, Hinge, and a billion other apps, and the shares in Bumble since 2021. Bumble has actually gone down 92% since it first went public. And Match Group, the company which owns basically every other dating app and every other dating service, including Tinder, Match.com, Plenty of Fish, OkCupid, Hinge, and a number of others, is doing pretty badly as well, down a whopping 64.6% since, about the last 5 years or so. Now, interestingly enough, people are falling out of love with dating apps. And this is affecting Gen Z in particular, who are becoming less and less likely to use the apps, but also less and less likely to spend money on the apps. It's not just the companies that are struggling. The usership is down, and the subjective experience has been getting worse and worse and worse every year. Just skip ahead. So in fact, Forbes Health ran a survey and found that 79% of Gen Z respondents had reported experiencing some form of dating app burnout. That's the term they used. This idea that people are getting physically or mentally exhausted since deciding to use dating apps. I'm not losing too much sleep about this. Now, you might have even seen that the companies have resorted to some interesting marketing techniques. For example, Bumble got in trouble for some ads that they ran trying to convince women to no longer be celibate, I guess. But yeah, people weren't too happy with these adverts. One which said, thou shall not give up on dating and become a nun, while the other said, you know full well a vow of celibacy is not the answer. They did later pull these ads after people complained. Tinder, on the other hand, has gone a slightly different strategy. and they've actually been taking advertisement dollars from the US military. I doubt you also saw this, but the US military has actually been running ads on Tinder in the Middle East, trying to convince like foreign people to not fight against the US military. The ads appeared in Lebanon, I believe, and they said things like, do not take up arms against the United States or its partners, and America will protect its partners in the face of threats from the Iranian regime and its proxies. This is a wild aside, but clearly, dating apps are not in the best space if they're posting adverts like the ones I've just shown you, whether it's the ones trying to encourage people to go against whatever vows of celibacy they may have decided to make, or the ones which further the military-industrial complex. Yeah. Now, this is a far cry from the promise that dating apps made for us, right? When they first launched, it would be difficult to believe that around a decade later, they'd be launching invite-only $500 a month membership programs. And the promise they initially made was to just help people find love, and they've gone the path of of everything else and become a bit more money hungry than they used to be. Francis says, I stopped on the nuns too. Yeah, that should not be give up on dating and become a nun. I think that's a strategy I've taken. But when we see this, we might wonder how we ended up here, how we ended up so far away from the promise that dating apps initially made of helping people find love in this optimized way, helping people meet people that they'd never considered having a relationship with, and overall making the world a better place. That was the initial idea. The $500 membership is maybe a slightly different manifestation of that idea. And to be honest, I should probably mention that I've been single for a good while now and I don't use dating apps. So please filter everything I say through that lens. I haven't used the apps in like maybe 3, 4 years. Years, either way. It's been years since I've used the apps. So probably about 2, 3 years actually. So, filter everything through that lens and make sure that you filter everything I say through your own experience. But if we try to understand how we ended up here, how we ended up so far away from what we expected the dating app future to be, we maybe can come to some interesting conclusions, not just about these apps, but maybe about human relationships more broadly and how we treat others in our lives and the assumptions that we might make about each other in general. Now, the first thing that's worth explaining is that the decline of these apps is in large part it's in large part a signal of broader trends in technology. So there's this idea of enshittification of technology, something that we've actually covered before, the phenomenon of online platforms degrading the quality of their services over time, leading to an overall decline in user satisfaction and overall value. This is something that's really broad across technology. It is probably best characterized through Airbnb, right? Becoming this, starting initially as a promised land where you could rent out a spare room at the fraction of the cost of a hotel, but ending up in a situation where people are paying $200 cleaning fees and have curfews and service fees for a rental, right? Netflix is another often given example. The early days of Netflix promised this technological revolution where piracy would be erased by providing a service that was actually better and was cheaper and was easier to use than any other competitor. And today we're in a world where Netflix is now, cracking down on password sharing. And it's a pretty common phenomenon that you've seen across technology, and partially explains what's going on with dating apps. They've had to shift from taking all the surplus value they generate and directing it towards users, and they've shifted from directing any surplus value they generate to users, and now try to direct it towards investors who are now looking for, a return on their investment. Possibly the most egregious example of enshittification is BMW, who in 2022 launched a subscription for heated seats in your car. So you have to pay $18 a month to just unlock the heated seats that were already in the car. They did later pull this back after people realized, but I think this is possibly um, the most egregious example. And shitification has infected the world of dating as well, right? Dating apps are not immune to this problem as fundamentally they are technology companies. And we can maybe have a look at the ways in which shitification has manifested in dating. Um, yeah, so Francis says, gotta push subs everywhere possible. And this is possibly like the most obvious manifestation of this shitification of dating apps. The idea that subscriptions are king. I don't know if you know this, but Tinder actually has 3 separate subscription options on top of the $500 a month subscription plan, and looks like this. So I didn't know this, but there is a Tinder, Tinder Plus, Tinder Gold, and Tinder Platinum. These look more like insurance plans than dating apps. But it clearly demonstrates that dating apps have not become immune from this subscription mania, this belief that everything needs to be a subscription, and that's the only way that a company can be profitable. Tinder now has a total of 4 paid tiers if we include the invite-only $500 a month tier. And their monetization strategy has led to them feeling more like a gacha game. If you don't know what a gacha game is, it's a game that uses like a loot box mechanic where players buy in-game currency and use it to gamble on random items effectively. Some common examples of games that use gacha game strategies are Genshin Impact, Ultimate Team, and Tinder, I would say. In fact, this analogy of like loot boxes and gacha games to dating apps is not necessarily just an analogy. In fact, Tinder actually rolled out its own in-app currency that you could use to buy boosts and to buy special features that would increase your chance of finding love. It's a very overt shift towards gamification, towards implementing game-like mechanics in a non-gaming environment, and helps us at least partially understand what's going on here. So I'm just going to catch up on some comments, and we'll continue in just a second. Where were we? Courtney says, oh wait, Baby Prone says, have you seen Scavenger's Reign? I have not seen Scavenger's Reign. Is that an anime? James Wade says, used most dating apps since 2018, stopped using them 2 years ago. What triggered you to stop, out of curiosity? Courtney says, I joined an orchestra club, and go out to bars even though I don't want to, just because I don't want to use them. Fantastic, right? You're doing what's most important, and you're voting with your wallet, right? You're choosing other options that you think might be more successful. Let me just catch up on relevant one. The term dumb phone is gaining popularity among the public. Yeah, dumb phones are great, by the way. I've been trying to turn my phone into a dumb phone daily. Yeah, so they're great. And then at this point, Liz says, at this point, rent is subscription. Yeah, that's very much how it feels. David Cruz says, in Hinge, it's called Roses. Yeah, so Hinge has its roses. Tinder has its super likes and boosts. And all of these apps have implemented these mechanics to turn dating into something that's more similar to Genshin Impact. Alexandra says, last thing I was expecting to see was Genshin Impact. Yeah, I did waste a few hours on that game, but thankfully I didn't get addicted. So Tinder rolled out its own currency to try and encourage people to spend money in the app, much like games do. And they did eventually pull this back, admittedly. But this analogy between gaming and dating is a really strong one, to be honest. The literal CEO of the parent company of Tinder is a man named Bernard Kim, who was the former president of Zynga. If you don't know who Zynga are, they are the company that is responsible for all of the worst mobile games. You know, the ones that look like this, right? They also made Farmville, which is a great game. But yeah. And the person who was in large part responsible for managing and creating the least valuable and most addictive games in the world is now in charge of managing dating apps for thousands of people, right? Millions of people, rather, I should say. And it's no surprise that these mechanics have been transferred directly from mobile games, which are some of the most addictive games in the world, to dating apps in order to generate that same relationship. this idea of gamification, broadly put, is simply just driving engagement and driving usership, not by providing a service, but by incorporating game-like elements and by trying to hijack reward circuitry rather than trying to actually provide the service they promise. As we said, this manifests in, this is from Tinder, I believe, who offer boosts that allow you to boost yourself to the top and offer super likes. And this is, this is pretty similar to what Candy Crush offers. So, as these services have become like increasingly gamified, it's interesting to look at how people have responded. And people have responded much how they would respond to an actual game, actually, by just trying to rig it, really, and by trying to exploit the mechanics of the game. In the world of dating, this manifests as Hinge hacks. So there's this whole world on TikTok, which I didn't know about, of people sharing Hinge hacks, techniques and tips that you can use to make your experience of using dating apps a little better. Some of these things include refreshing your Hinge feed by threatening to delete your account, which supposedly flags Hinge and refreshes your entire feed and makes you way more likely to show up in other people's feed. As these apps have become increasingly gamified, people have responded how gamers typically respond by trying to break the system. Other people's decisions have been things like choosing to use AI wingmen, which has become apparently quite popular, to generate chat-up lines effectively based on the person's profile, and to create a profile that is optimized for these dating apps algorithms. Let Liz Play says, the more you scroll, the more you interact and engage with the product. Exactly. So the idea is that the app's trying to drive ultimately engagement, right? And they're trying to find the optimal way to drive engagement, not necessarily enjoyment. So let me just see where we are. Where are we? We are here. Yeah. So people are using, for example, AI wingmen for flirting. And this is exactly what happens in the world of gaming, right? As soon as a game is released, people try to break it, people try to find hacks, and people try to optimize the gameplay experience. Let Liz Play says, I recently learned that Facebook promotes random things in Marketplace just to take up more space and make you scroll a few more. That seems like that definitely seems like the kind of thing they would do just to fill up the viewport, because I imagine you're more likely to buy something if there are a few more options. And James Wade says, shopping for a relationship left me feel drained. There was no connection to swiping left and right. There was also a clear trend towards some algo to match people. Yeah, exactly. It's not like a random selection thing. Where are we? Okay. So enshirtification isn't necessarily a complete explanation, though, because despite the fact that many other services in technology have been getting worse and worse, the companies seem to still be doing great. Netflix stock just hit an all-time high fairly recently, despite the fact that the service has been consistently degrading, and most people would generally agree that the Netflix of today is far worse than the Netflix of 5 to 10 years ago. So similarly, Airbnb and Uber have not been doing anywhere near as awfully as these dating apps have. And so, there are some unique dynamics of these apps that make them especially prone to collapse, and that can help us understand the mass exodus of people from these apps. I mean, part of it is simply the fact that, these apps promote the idea that they'll literally change your life. When you book an Uber, all you want is to end up somewhere else geographically. When you download a dating app, you want your life to be fundamentally reshaped by it in general. And this at least helps us understand some of what's going on, right? Now, Hinge, for example, markets itself as the dating app designed to be deleted, which is an extremely big promise. It's a promise that they clearly aren't going to live up to, and that I personally, as a cynic, feel like isn't necessarily true. Hinge is owned by a $9 billion company, so I don't think they want you to delete any of their apps. Now, where are we? Oh yeah. So I should mention that I try to gather a variety of evidence for these videos, and and consult a variety of sources. And sometimes that leads you, especially with dating, down some uncomfortable rabbit holes, some culture war type stuff. And so I want to maybe address a few myths or a few preconceptions that people can often have after having had a bad experience with dating apps. So dating apps are not an enjoyable experience for anyone, regardless of gender identity. Um, Men and women both have really, really awful experiences. So women report feeling around 80% of women report feeling some level of burnout, and around 74% of males report feeling some kind of burnout as well. The unenjoyable experience of dating apps is pretty evenly split across the aisle. And what's happening is that we have some very different problems that occur, but no set of problems is one more significant than the other. So, interestingly enough, men outnumber women 3 to 1 on Bumble and Tinder, and yet women report higher rates of negative experiences. That's not to invalidate the fact that men obviously have incredibly high rates of negative experiences, but rather to emphasize the fact that nobody enjoys the experience of dating apps when we look more broadly. Uh, Let me just quickly catch up on chat. Francis says, I like the slogan, the dating app designed to be deleted. Yeah, it's a great slogan. Hinge's slogan is really good. I just don't think it's true, that's really where we're at. Yeah, but it is a great slogan. The marketing team, they nailed it. They nailed it with the slogan. Praise the Sun says, I met an escort worker on Tinder named Candy Crush. That's like a rap bar of the century, man. That's got layers to it. And Julie raises a good point. It runs counter to some of the advertisement promoting the non-celibacy of it. Yeah, exactly, right? If Hinge supposedly promotes itself as the app designed to be deleted, there are many valid reasons to delete dating apps, not just because you found a relationship. It's equally valid to delete one of these apps because you've realized you want to be celibate for the moment. And everything about their actions kind of runs counter to this marketing slogan. Francis says, should read Designed to Siphon All Your Money. Yeah, that's a more appropriate description, isn't it? Designed to siphon your money. Courtney says, it seems like their data people have just gotten too good at their jobs. It's harder to find a relationship from the apps than it was just a few years ago, which is a good thing for their bottom line. Yeah, so so that's very true, and it's something we'll address actually. But one thing that's worth keeping in mind, we'll come back to this in a second, it's that the optimal model for a dating app isn't for you to get 0 good dates. It's for you to have like unpredictable intervals, have kind of good dates, but not quite good enough to convince you to leave the app. If you get nothing from the apps, you'll drop off really quickly. And if you get really, really good matches, you'll also drop off really quickly. And so ideally, the ideal situation for a dating app is to give you unpredictable success, to operate much like a slot machine, right? Where you occasionally win, but not quite enough for you to stop playing. And so dating apps are actually starting to diverge a little bit from what their optimal model would be. And we'll explain a little bit about why it's so hard to actually do that. Tacky Banana says, I don't think any of my friends take dating apps seriously. I haven't for a couple of years. I'm 25. I'm bored of doing the same slot machine. Yeah. Great minds think alike, Tacky Banana. Yeah, that's very much how it feels, right? Like a slot machine. And one thing I know about gambling is that it gets boring very quickly, or gets depressing very quickly, I should say. So yeah, as I was saying, there is not really a strong gender divide when it comes to feeling really displeased by dating apps. While women do report slightly higher rates, both men and women report really high rates of dissatisfaction with these apps. Yeah. Okay. And as we say, the problem, as I said, the problems that these genders would face is very different. So men outnumber women 3 to 1, on Bumble and Tinder. So they're far more likely to experience feelings of rejection, feelings of being ignored, and those kind of depressive feelings. Whereas it seems like the issues that women report are more, well, they're different. They're different at least, right? So a 2023 survey found that over half of women under 50 who'd used dating apps or dating sites had been sent an a sexually explicit message that they didn't ask for, which I think is an insanely high statistic, right? Like over half of them. But generally, the issues that lead people to feel burnt out are more broadly the failure to find a good connection, or being disappointed, being ghosted, being lied to, feeling rejected, and having boring or not substantive conversations. But yeah, both genders, or all across the gender spectrum, people have a high level of dissatisfaction with dating apps. Now, let's maybe understand a bit more about the user experience and what kind of leads to these super high rates of dissatisfaction, and whether dating apps are actually benefiting from this or not. Because it seems like they aren't actually benefiting from them. They aren't benefiting from this huge level of dissatisfaction that people are experiencing, which is not ideal for them. So I want to explain a little term from economics called adverse selection. It's not going to be that complicated to understand, but I only learned about it last week, so bear with me. Adverse selection is this idea. Yeah, so I want to introduce you to adverse selection. Adverse selection is this idea that you can end up in situations where, or trades, as you can end up in situational trades where one party has more information than the other party and can take advantage of undisclosed information to benefit from a contract or trade. So it's adverse selection, briefly put, I'll explain it in a bit more detail, is a situation where one party takes advantage of undisclosed information to benefit more out of a contract or a trade. And this can ultimately drive some people out of this market. So it might sound a little bit complicated. It's not that complicated. We'll see how it applies to dating. So Planet Money, which is a really good column by NPR, wrote a little piece explaining how adverse selection might be an important factor in understanding why dating apps have gotten so bad lately. And their explanation is really good, so I'm going to just steal it. Planet Money says, it's possible that dating apps face adverse selection. Basically, a new app starts up and hopeless romantics looking for real love begin flocking to it. But so do sleazy types who lie on their dating profile. Over time, the earnest daters go on a bunch of bad dates, encountering people who have no interest in real relationships or whose profiles are completely misleading. Like lemons driving good cars out of the used car market, maybe sleazeballs push great catches outside. Maybe sleazeballs push great catches out of dating apps and ultimately ruin the quality of the whole app experience. So people go to a new app in the hopes of finding something better, and the cycle starts again. So this idea of adverse selection is basically the idea that people can take advantage of the meta on dating apps to promote themselves as something they're not, and ultimately lead honest, well-intentioned users to feel like the apps don't have any other honest users because they're only interacting with people who know how to game the app. This is this whole idea of hinge hacks or using AI tools to beat the system. It doesn't necessarily make you a better person on a date, but it makes you more likely. It makes you more representative of what the market supposedly looks like to someone who's just downloaded the app, and it makes people who download the app feel like everyone is awful. Now, this idea of adverse selection that that bad users, bad actors can basically infect dating apps is intimately tied to gamification. That they might sound like separate issues, but I personally think that they're pretty tightly linked. The reason why basically dishonest people can do so well on dating apps is directly related to the fact that dating apps are turning more and more into games. Let me link those two things for you, but in a section. But in a second, we'll just catch up on chat. Where were we? So Alessandra says the fault of these apps are because us humans are social creatures. And while apps have let people make friends if there are people looking for love or deeper connection, the inability to actually see each other creates a mental barrier, distancing the two, people trying to connect and making the conversations awkward and stuff. I think that's definitely part of it. I think that the bar is like a lot higher when you're expecting a romantic relationship or when you're looking for one. Whereas if you're just trying to make friends, it's a lot more organic, right? Like personally, I think this is why a lot of online dating happens outside of dating apps, so people can interact in more casual spaces where there's not necessarily the expectation that it's supposed to lead to a romantic relationship, right? These casual spaces like Instagram or Discord or Reddit, right? These are spaces where you can interact with people without necessarily the pressure of like this needs to go into a date. Uh, James Wade says we love Planet Money. I love Planet Money. They're great. They're great. Dating apps for men, sending out a million messages hoping to get one back that isn't a scam. For women, it's like trying to find a diamond by having to sift through an open sewer. Yeah, I think that's a pretty accurate description, right? The grass isn't greener on anyone's side. It's rotten everywhere. Zepat says, "Are you a true intellectual or a fancy wordsmith?" A true intellectual. I don't know what the criteria is for a true intellectual. I think anyone who's trying to actively learn things is an intellectual, in my opinion. That's the only criteria. Yeah, I gotta bring out my tea, man. I have like 4 different kinds of tea in the cupboard back there. I'm a real intellectual. uh, I gotta look like the Monopoly man. Uh, so yeah, basically, adverse selection is this idea that bad apples can drive good apples out of the dating market, and gamification is just these apps becoming more and more like games, adding things like in-app currencies, adding things like boosts and special features to drive engagement, not through actually providing a service, but by hijacking your brain's reward circuitry and making you addicted to the app rather than enjoying the app. That's where we are so far. So let me just explain, right? So there is a solution to this idea of adverse selection. There is a way to actually minimize these bad apples that can ruin the market for everyone. And the way is to basically provide more information to the users. This is something that's actually been done before. I'm not describing like this like fantastical theory, but basically, if you can give the users as much information as you can, they can make more informed decisions, right? That's intuitive. However, the more information you provide to those users, the harder it makes for the app to be gamified because they can't rely on the fact that you don't know things about other people. And this is most clearly shown in the fact that Hinge's premium program, Hinge Plus and Hinge X, they both allow you to actually add more information about yourself as a potential date. They allow you to filter your dates by location, by activity, and to fine tune exactly what you're looking for, which inevitably leads to a better dating experience and reduces this problem of adverse selection, this problem of bad apples who are hacking the system. So the simple idea is that by trying to monetize these apps through effectively gamification, which requires like hiding information from people on the app. Oh my god, hang on, my neighbor's being super loud. Can you guys hear that or not? Oh my god, that is frustratingly loud. Oh, you can't hear it, really? Oh man, this is a good microphone. Good microphone. It's got some good isolation. It literally sounds like they're in the room with me. Oh, perfect. Okay, that's good. I'm gonna see if I can speak while they're having the time of their lives. Um, perfect. Okay. So yeah, what I was saying basically is that the easiest way for dating apps to actually become an enjoyable experience would be for them to give more information to their users about who their date is. Currently, the information you get is a few pictures, a bio, and sometimes a little bit more about their interests, right? In the case of Hinge, you get a few questions. However, if you pay, you actually get more information and you have a better dating experience. And this isn't just theoretical, this idea that more information would simply solve a lot of the problems that these apps face. Because we can take the example of OkCupid, which has actually gone through a bit of a transformation from being a dating app that dealt with this problem of bad apples a lot better than the new school of dating apps. I found this comment of someone who described their experience on OkCupid, and I think it captures quite well what's going wrong with these apps, right? So let me just read it for you. OkCupid used to be, okay, Francis has a question, but what define a good dating experience for them? A good dating experience, the way I'm defining it at least, is a date that you enjoy. Basically, like you deleting the app is the ultimate good experience. Finding people who feel similar to you, I think that's basically what I would say. Yeah, a good dating experience is people who feel similar and people who feel like a good match, right? It's pretty subjective. But yeah, I don't know. It depends. I think everyone has their own little definition of a good experience. An enjoyable date, people who feel similar to you, and people who are like on your wavelength, I would say. Julie Martinez says the visible info is like kid mode. Do you mean like it's like the mode for kids or the mode to have a kid? Anyways, I'll read this comment and we'll see how OkCupid basically was and how it's become and how this links into gamification. So OkCupid used to be really great before they were sold off to Match. Match is the company that owns Tinder and Hinge and all of the other ones. It was a pretty simple concept that worked really well. Start people off by forcing them to answer at a minimum like 25 matching questions around things like politics, religion, handling money, hygiene, etc. Core factors that people would consider when dating, essentially. But the kicker was that you also got to specify how you would like your potential match to respond to the same question. And you got to weight that response based on how much you cared about that particular question. After about 25 questions, you could always get a large enough sample size to match people, but it worked best at matching people that had answered over 100 questions each. It was like magic. Anyone with over an 80% match on that site pretty much always ended up being a surefire, amazing conversation. So what this person is describing without necessarily realizing is this idea of adverse selection, right? The idea that just by having more and more information about who your potential matches are in terms of their interests, their likes, their personality, you can basically make dating apps be fantastic. However, the issue with that is that they can become a bit too good, right? And you end up in the situation where every person you match with is actually a pretty good person, and you're therefore extremely likely to quit the app, as we've said before. The ideal situation for these apps is this weird middle ground where they want you to find someone you like, but not too often and not someone that you like too much, because then you delete the app. But they don't want you to have zero matches because that means that you'll delete the app super quickly. And they're playing this like balancing game of trying to get people just enough matches, but also not too many matches. And they're clearly not doing a very good job at it because they've leaned far too hard into the generating money side and not into the actual generating connection side. And yeah, as we said, that's kind of the optimal model of a dating app. There's what's called a variable ratio reward, where you get a reward at an unpredictable interval and you get a reward that's big enough every time to keep you chasing the next one, like a slot machine. Julie Martinez Garcia says, "Oh no, like YouTube kids." Oh yeah, like YouTube. I get you. Zephat says the best way to use Tinder is to like as many people as you can every day, so you can bank a ton of matches to look through later, right? And yeah, I mean, and that may well be true, but that's that you can see why that's like against the spirit of what the app is supposed to be, and how that would lead to people having unpleasant experiences if they're just one of a big batch of matches that someone has swiped through. Yeah. And yes, I don't doubt that's true, but it's an example of gaming the system, right? Rather than trying to use the system, rather than the system being well designed. God, praise the sun has given us some fan fiction in chat. This is my perfect date night. I pick you up in my Kia Sorento. You get in. There's candles in the car. Candles in the car. You go, is that dangerous? And I go, yes, but I like danger. We go to your favorite restaurant. This is incredible. We have a fantastic meal. Come outside. See my car's on fire. You go, Aziz, your car's on fire. Aren't you upset? Pull out a bag of marshmallows, and I go, no. I knew this was going to happen. Then I kiss you. Speedgrim says, it doesn't work if everyone does it, then everyone would match everyone. Yeah. And this is why the people who are able to exploit, oh, hang on, my camera is on low battery. Let me plug it in. We're charging. There we go. We're back. Yeah, so speedgrim, as I was saying, it disproportionately benefits those who know how to game the system, right? Not everyone knows that you can game dating apps to varying degrees. And so these little hacks benefit not those people who are the best match for you, but the people who just play the game the best. And that's basically a large part of the problem here. So where were we? We were... Oh yeah. So when it comes down to it, ultimately, people want what they've always wanted, which is meaningful connection with others, right? They want community, and they look for that through a relationship. And I think the real danger here is the fact that people have been generalizing their experiences on dating apps as broader generalizations of how, quote unquote, society is today. And I think that's a big problem, because implicitly, I think I would hope that most of us understand that, say, social media isn't necessarily a one-to-one representation of how people behave. If you took Twitter posts, for example, to be the representation of how everyone behaves in general, you'd be scared to go outside. I'd be scared to go outside, at least. If you took Instagram Reel comments, you'd think everyone was incredibly racist all of the time. And the real danger with dating apps is that it can hijack your psychology in a way that makes you think that the real world is actually accurately represented within these apps, rather than the app simply being the result of an algorithm that's trying to balance the reward it gives you with the profit that it can potentially generate from you. It's not real life. That's basically what I'm getting at, right? It's not real. It's not real. None of it's real. Okay. Yeah. These apps are not designed to organically create relationships. They're designed to do all the same things that all the other algorithmic feeds are designed to do, right? Which is to maximize your watch time and to maximize the number of ads that you watch in any given session. And I also do have to address the fact that some people have had really good experiences on these apps. I've had good experiences in the past, right? And it's not always awful. Some people do well. And I think the good thing that we can take home from this is that people are ultimately voting with their wallets and choosing to create alternative spaces where they can get this sense of community that they've been looking for. There's a big trend, you might have seen it, of run clubs now. That's like a supposed, it's a supposed thing. A lot of people are joining run clubs in order to find love. And this to me is ultimately a good thing, right? It means that people are actually choosing to create their own alternatives to act in the real world where it's actually real, rather than to take what Kitty Cat says is it's an algorithmic mirage. Yeah, exactly. It's an algorithmic mirage, right? These algorithms are so capable of building a mirage that makes you think that what they are showing you is simply a direct representation of what reality is, when it's been filtered through layers and layers of algorithms and psychology in order to fundamentally change how you interact with it. So yeah, the run club trend to me is great because it shows that people are actually voting with their wallets, which is by far one of the most effective ways you can actually create change, by choosing an alternative that aligns better with your values, better with what you're looking up, better with what you're looking for, and that can actually give you the thing that it promises. So yeah, I don't know if you've heard about this. I think it's a great trend. I also think that this idea that dating apps are deliberately withholding information is in part of a way to explain the fact that some very niche dating apps are actually doing quite well. So LGBT dating apps are doing especially well compared to heterosexual ones, and ones that like cater to particular kinks or particular, you know, traits are doing far better than these really wide ones, because they're actually providing people with the information that matters, the information that they need to figure out whether the person on the other end of the phone is someone that they actually care about, or it's just someone who's trying to game an algorithm in order to get whatever they want. Julie Martinez says, I wonder if Meetups is doing some of this work and getting people to join groups and ultimately find organic relationships. Meetups, I think, are definitely doing a lot of that work for sure. For sure. I think meetups are a prime example of this like rejection of algorithms in favor of actual organic, platonic and romantic relationships. Julie Martinez says, the app, yeah, the website, yeah, meetup.com, yeah. I think so. Yeah, I do think so. Leo says the Fads London Club. I used to actually be really into running during lockdown. I never ran before lockdown, but I got myself up to doing a half marathon just around the beach where I lived in the north, and it was a good experience. I need to get back into it. Running is fantastic. Yeah. And James Waite says, you mean like Grinder and Field? Yeah, exactly. So Grinder and Field have both had pretty steady rises in usership. I don't have the image to hand, but yeah, Grinder and Field are actually doing quite well compared to, say, Tinder and Hinge, because they cater to a more specific demographic that needs effectively more information to be able to successfully date, and it provides them with that information. It encourages people to be a bit more open and gives them a space to do that. Speedgrim says, do you have any data on Christian Mingle? I actually don't have any data on Christian Mingle, but I'm pretty sure it's owned by Match Group, who owns Tinder and all the other ones. I'm pretty sure Christian Mingle is one of theirs as well. David Cruz says, there is a trend on social reel about not drinking or doing drugs at a nightclub to find out how boring it gets. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't really drink, so or much anymore, but I've been to dating to nightclub sober before, and you need a really good group of friends for it to work. Yeah, it's an experience. It's an experience. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, there's many angles you can approach this from. You could approach this as well from the angle of the fact that Gen Z is rejecting drinking and drugs more generally, and they're the most likely generation to be teetotal, to be abstinent from alcohol. You could also approach this from the angle that there's a monopoly problem here as well. I talk about monopolies all the time because it really annoys me, but there's clearly a monopoly problem in the dating app market with one company that owns, all of these dating apps, just to name a few. And clearly the strategy of increased gamification and increased monetization is going to be somewhat uniformly applied across so much of the market, and can go to some extent to explain why all of the apps feel the same and all the apps feel terrible, because for the most part, these apps are under the leadership of simply one company. Yeah, so I'm not going to say that I'm going to lose much sleep over dating app companies doing badly, because ultimately the biggest reason they're doing so badly is that they're not providing the service that they promised. They're so far away from their initial promise of helping people find organic romantic love and feel more and more like video games day in, day out. Uh, Pesha says, this actually reminds me of genetics and the extinction of bananas. I don't know much about that story. I do know that there used to be, okay, with the same company applying the same model. Okay, I need to look into that. I don't know much about the history of bananas. Julie says, enshittification plus vetoing alcohol plus adverse exchange equal dating apps down. Yeah, basically. I think those factors explain a bunch of what's going on now, actually. In general, they're becoming more enshittified and more profit driven, which has naturally led to a reduced quality. And Gen Z in general also doesn't drink as much. And this adverse Adverse selection problem is another factor. Yeah. Francis says Match owns so many dating apps now. Yeah, their business model is just like buying apps that are doing well and then turning them into Tinder. That's basically what's going on. Kitty Cat says, I'll actually gain some sleep knowing they're doing horrendously. I'm preying on their downfall. Yeah, I'm not going to lose much sleep over this, because the collapse of dating apps doesn't mean the collapse of romantic love. It means that it's actually going to spread a bit more towards the places where it needs to be, towards these organic spaces. But then again, I'm also incredibly single, so take my words with a grain of salt. Clover Cookie says, does Gen Z enjoy dating outside of dating apps? So yeah, this run club trend, for example, is something that's predominantly driven by like TikTok, effectively. Gen Z, younger millennials are driving these trends of finding organic places to meet people. Burnt Zila says, so what should we do to make/find a third place to organically create relationships? So this is part of the hard part is the fact that third places have been steadily deteriorating, right? So I talked about that in a previous video, but we've been losing third places for a long time, places where people can interact with others without having to spend money, and places that aren't your home or your workplace. And to be honest, when it comes to the question of like making or finding third places, I will say that the best ones are the ones that are around a common interest. Those are like the easy ones. So if you do have a common interest that you can do, you can either try and create a third place, whether it's literally your home or somebody else's home, or a public library where you can meet people with common interests, or you can use already existing services. So meetup.com was one that someone mentioned in chat earlier, and it's a really good app for meeting people who have like a common interest, whether it's a language club or a running club or a poker club or whatever. Apps like that have plenty of options, but it is true that the options are getting smaller and smaller because there's less and less investment in state-funded, third places like public libraries, places like community centers where people can interact cheaply. And yeah, and the fact that we're losing third places at the same time as dating apps are getting worse and worse, I think does in part explain why a significant number of the people that leave dating apps choose to be celibate instead of pursuing a relationship elsewhere. Yeah, it can be hard to find a third place, basically. And honestly, I don't have complete answers on this. It really depends on what your interests are, because some interests are a lot easier to find a third place with than others. Speedcrum says it shouldn't be this hard to have a CEO who doesn't sell out their company for a stack of cash. Yeah, I think Petro Petrov answers your question well. It comes from the need to constantly grow, right? Like companies are judged on like a quarter by quarter basis. So you just have to the line has to keep going up, and so the directors are going to hire people who do that. Julie Martinez says, friends of friends, use the extrovert around you to connect to others. Friends of friends is great as well. Yeah, it's a really good hack. If you do have some friends that are especially social, they can be your answer to actually find connection. Judy says, bug an extrovert near you and they'll set you up with a group or event to join, guaranteed. Yeah, I agree. Courtney says, is this chat a third place? Probably. So I was actually thinking about this, about like the idea of like online third places. Let me over. Yeah, I was thinking about this, right? The idea of online third places, and the fact that people are using, spaces like Discord, Reddit, or YouTube Lives, for example, as their virtual third places. And I do think that they, to some degree, do fill that need. But there's like a certain, like, I don't know what it is that's different when you're in real life and you have to look someone in the eye and speak to them. And so I don't think they're a complete substitute. which is why personally myself, I've been trying to get outside a bit more because I can be a bit too bit too introverted, a bit too like indoorsy. And I realize every time I interact with someone IRL that it's just it's a different category of interaction. And online ones can be super valuable. They've been super valuable to me, online, interactions. But I think you need to get some IRL stuff. I highly recommend getting some IRL stuff. Yeah, I don't know if you wanted that long of an answer, but yeah, it's a reminder to touch grass, guys, to touch grass. James Waite says, I'm yet to meet someone not through friends. That's good. Oh, that's good. That's amazing. Clover Cookie says, I'm Gen Z myself, but I wouldn't know where to start dating. I feel like my desire for a romantic relationship isn't strong enough to date. It might be aromantic. You might well be, or you might just be busy, right? Like, we're working longer and longer hours. We have more and more commitments that take our time. Life in general has gotten more and more expensive. And that is another factor that plays into this whole picture. There are so many different discrete factors that we can all point to as contributing to this larger problem. And, I can only cover a few of them, but I covered the ones that I think maybe will be most insightful to someone who's already been reading about this topic. Tacky Banana says, I met an ex on Discord, knew each other for like 6 years before we met and dated. Discord is the closest thing we have found to a communal center. Discord is the closest thing we have to a communal center I found online for sure. Yeah, I would agree, Tacky Banana. I think Discord is like this prime example of this like fundamental desire that people have to gather in smaller, more niche communities that are more casual and that allow for someone to interact, to drop in and drop out very easily. I think Discord is like a perfect example of that. Yeah, it really represents that desire that people really have. Leo says, from my side, I'm craving connection, but it's hard. Yeah, man. London especially is a remarkably unfriendly place as well. I think I was really lucky that all of my university friends lived in London when I lived there, but I can't imagine like the difficulty of having to try and make friends in London, especially because people are just so heavily career driven in general and just really hard to get a hold of. Oh my God, like even people that I knew were just so hard to get a hold of. And then on the other hand, as you say, Leo, the apps are like pretty superficial and people have very little resistance to like, dropping people from apps. Courtney says, people in my neighborhood in Chicago go to Mariano's, which is a grocery store. There's a bar, but it's not weird to hang around before or after the gym or buying groceries. I wish it was more common. That sounds fire. That sounds so good. So it's a supermarket with like a bar in it, and you can just like chill in that space. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Yeah, that's amazing, man. I'm glad. I'm at least glad that there is something like that, in Chicago. Yeah, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. And part of this idea of a third space is honestly just paying for public infrastructure, just having actual public spaces that people can chill in. Yeah, like a public park can be a third place very easily, depending on what the climate is where you live. Fraser Sun says, an app named after a lack of harmony is the primary digital public space. That's crazy and sad. That's actually quite ironic. I never thought of the name of Discord. Yeah, that is very ironic. But yeah, that was kind of the angles I wanted to cover. I love the discussion in chat. Because you can see there are so many different angles you can approach this from, and it seems that the idea of having an unpleasant online experience is remarkably common. But what I will say is, don't let it make you think that everyone in real life behaves the way that people do on dating apps, because people don't behave on dating apps. People don't behave on the internet in general how they behave in real life. That applies to dating apps as much as it applies to Twitter or Instagram or the YouTube comment section as well, right? People say wild shit out there. Praise the Sun says, add the book Data Apocalypse to your research on the evils of apps. I'm going to write that down as well, actually. And then Data Apocalypse. we go. I just have this ever growing list of recommendations I get from stream that I need to work through. Maybe I'll do that on stream one day. Who knows? Yeah, I appreciate them though. I appreciate them. I wouldn't get these recommendations elsewhere. You know, the algorithms just recommend you more of the stuff you've already seen. So it's good to get ideas that are non-algorithmic. Yeah. But basically that's the bulk of what I wanted to cover today. Probably am gonna have to go get dinner because I haven't eaten dinner again. I never eat dinner. But we'll see. Just a few more messages in chat. Got an idea for you for the future. That greed has become the virtue due to how the system of our world is set up. To be honest, that's an underlying theme in a lot of the content. The difficulty I have, no, that's good. It's a good idea. Like I like that, and I definitely feel like that theme permeates quite well. I'm at the stage where I struggle because I don't want to make the content like too overtly political, because I know that people just have like mental blocks if you use certain words, and they won't listen to the point that you're making. If they think that you're on a particular political team or whatever, they'll just ignore the substance of your point. And so I try to make the content like non-partisan as much as possible. But you know, maybe we might lean into the partisanship a bit more. Yeah, I just basically I don't want someone's politics to be a barrier to them listening to the point that I'm making, and that's kind of a principle I've been trying to keep in the content. Tacky Banana says, off the bed, but just want to say I love your content. Subbed the other day and think you've got a brilliant take on reality. Thank you so much, man. Have a good night. Yeah, take care. Okay, good night. To Tacky Banana. Okay, Leo says, man, you're gonna love Disco Elysium when you get to it. I am gonna get to Disco Elysium. I wrote it down on potentially another sheet, but I'll write it down again. I'm going to type up all of these recommendations tonight, actually. I'll have them in a Google Docs or something. Julie Martinez says, thank you, Fads. We love you. Oh, I love you too. I love all of chat. You guys making videos very, very fun. I like doing them live. It's way more fun to have like a back and forth throughout the video for sure. James tells me to eat. Yeah, I will eat. I will eat. It's just that I finish work and then I have to prep the stream, so I never have time to have dinner in between. Agreed on that. Kitty Cat says, agreed on that. Dog whistles can either be a turn off or make them agree with your points without question. Yeah, exactly. And you know, I try to at least land somewhere in the middle where possible, at least in the content itself, right? And try and make sure that it's somewhat non-partisan. And you know that you can actually understand the point that I'm making, independent of whether you share the same political beliefs that I do. But obviously, sometimes that leads to maybe some unsavory types in the comments. Speedcrum says it can be hard to dance around words that like trigger auto responses from people. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying, right? That's the problem. Certain words will just like shut down people's brains and any critical thinking they have because they just assume a whole bunch of stuff about you based on, you know, their imagination effectively. But yeah, I'm gonna have some dinner. I'm gonna go for a walk actually. It's a little bit late, but I'm gonna go for a little nighttime walk. Get some fresh air over me. Maybe I'll get some food out. Maybe I'll eat out tonight. And then I'll do some more work and go to sleep. And there'll be a shortened version of this stream live on the channel as a video, hopefully by the end of the weekend, usually on Sunday night / Monday morning. But either way, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you guys in chat as always. I love doing these streams. It's so fun, and you know, I'm obviously quite busy with between the job and stuff, so I can't. It's a struggle to make it better. But we're going to be slowly improving the quality of the stream, and hopefully at some point we can do these more frequently, and I can spend more time with you guys. It's always a pleasure. And you know, let this be somewhat of a third space, right? A third space, but I find an IRL one as well. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. Bye, Kitty Cat. Bye, Speed Grump. Bye, Pesho. Thanks, and yeah, see you later, Leo. Thanks for coming. Thanks for calling me your goat, bro. Thanks. Take care, Maya. Have a good night. Okay. Yeah. Good night, everyone. I think that's everyone. Did I hit Courtney as well? Take care, Courtney. Bye. Yeah, take care, guys. Have a good night. Pleasure to have you here once again, and take care. Bye-bye, Burntzilla and Kitty Cat. I have not forgotten about Goku Fighty. He's still saved. Bye-bye, praise the sun. Bye-bye. Bye.